Hello, you super duper double delicious person, you. It's Sandy Boucher here once again, and I am so thrilled to be back. If you followed the posts in my YouTube community, you would know I've been sick for the last couple of days, but I am back, and I have my energy back, and I feel like me, and of course that means I want to talk to you. Now, today I have, again, 4 different things I want to share with you, and this may go down as my most negative video ever. Consider yourself warned. Let's talk about it. Bonjour. Mishko Paganon Quain Adishnakas Mundo Dam. Hi everybody. My name is Sandy Boucher. I'm Red Thunderbolt Woman of the Loon Clan, a proud member of Seine River First Nation in Treaty 3 territory in Northern Ontario, Canada, and I am here once again helping to build bridges between non-Indigenous Canadians and Indigenous peoples living within Canadian borders, because I believe together, if we acknowledge the past and acknowledge the problems and work together for a future, then this country can fly to heights it's never even imagined before. But we gotta have some conversations before that can happen. Almost lost my voice there. Don't push it, Sandy. First day back after being sick. Have some caffeine. We're good. We're good. Okay, boys, hang in there to do this video, please. Now, in the opening, I mentioned that this may be my most negative video ever. That's what I thought it was going to be. But I don't know about you. I am all passion. I am all emotion. I work and speak from the heart. I always have. I've tried controlling that at different times, only to eventually accept that's who I am. But perspective is everything. And sometimes you gotta gather some facts to get the perspective. And this is a perfect example. And yes, it's going to involve some negativity, but I'm looking at it in a new perspective. Okay, so last week I released a video that was talking to employers that want to retain their Indigenous employees. And I pointed out there was only 2 ways that they could do that. The first way was a lot harder than the second way, so I really gave details and spent my time focusing on the second option. And if you missed that video, well, then we'll just put a little thumbnail here and I'll put the link in the show notes. So go check it out. So I don't know if you know this, but as the creator of a YouTube channel, if you comment, I get an email that tells me someone commented on my video. And for the most part, by the way, all of you, I have some, can't think of names off the top of my head, but I have some diehard followers that comment all the time, and I love you for it. I can be sitting on my couch, enjoying a quiet evening, and I get an email that shows me your amazing comment. You make my heart sing. Thank you so much for that. But it also means when the trolls come out to play, I get those emails too. So the other thing you may not realize is my videos are released at like midnight. So I wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, and often I have notifications in my phone, comments, people that watch videos. Maybe it's a different time zone for you, or else you like watching videos at 1, 2, 3 in the morning. No judgment. If it works for you, all the power to you. You're watching my videos. Why would I complain? Problem. Trolls like to dance in those early morning hours. So, for one, that video got over 800 views in the first 12 hours. So that tells me this was a topic of interest, and I absolutely love seeing that. I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing this for you. So if I'm saying something that resonates with you, that's beautiful. But I started getting the emails, and it was negative after negative after negative after negative, and yeah, that's not fun. Like, I feel that. That's not fun. So I decided that I wanted to share that experience with you, and I wanted to share the kind of comments that Indigenous people like me that are trying to make a difference have to endure. Probably not a surprise to anyone. Please don't tell me to just ignore them. I know that. I am just sharing the honest truth. So if there's Indigenous viewers watching this and you're thinking of doing this, brace yourself for it. And for other people who think this might be easy, it's not. But this is where the perspective change came in, because I was getting what felt like email after email after email after email, and I woke up to them. But when I went to gather the information to do this video, some things were revealed to me. So let's look. For one, 800 views, 8 troll comments. 8 out of 800 views. Perspective shift number 1. Secondly, when I went through writing down the information for you, I realized like 3 of them were from the same person. The first comment came in at 1:36 a.m. from @JohnSmith SJ2DK. John Smith. Nice generic name. I am Indigenous to Sweden. Gonna point out Indigenous and Sweden were both spelt wrong. That might be talk to text. Don't know. I have Indigenous people in my family, Australian Aboriginal. Here the problem is too many incentives not to work, would be my take. That would be a nice racist take. Just putting that out there. And Indigenous to Sweden, F off. Hardcore. That is that white backlash always. They have an issue with the fact that we're Indigenous and they're not, so they say stupid crap like that. So that was the first one. You can see where my mood would be going. 3:30 a.m. at From My Cold Hands. How much time do they take to think of these? I don't know. I'm Indigenous to the state of Utah. So here we go with this mentality again. With the USA, and the small company I work for treated me as dog crap, so I do not agree with you, ma'am. Indigenous to the state of Utah is that same as Indigenous to Sweden, so that's BS. And no time, you know, they love to go to, if I say Indigenous people are treated like crap, they are, assume that means I'm saying they are the only people that are treated like crap. And no time did I say that. That leap was From My Cold Hands leap. Again, first thing in the morning I'm reading these, right? This is how I'm starting my day. Oh, I just noticed From My Cold Hands felt the need to comment again. Is he the one that did it 3 times? Yes, he did. So it's this person. So next, now the first one was at 3:30. Half an hour later, he's still thinking about this. Well, I guess it was about a half an hour video. So maybe the first, I don't know. I'm not going to guess. At From My Cold Hands, 4 a.m. Rule number 1, conversing with an Indigenous American. Do not start a dialogue with an Indigenous American the way the person above does. Okay, for one, I'm not an Indigenous American. 2, not my lane. I would never advise you how to start a conversation with an Indigenous American. And I'm not guessing this person is Indigenous. So they identified Utah, not their community, not their nation. So I don't believe they are. And then they came back at 4:03. Only took 3 minutes this time. Now they're just getting stupid. My opinion. At From My Cold Hands. Question for Sandy. You are a member of the First National of France? Or question mark, I'm curious as well as confused by your First Nation member statement, if I may, ... and then says nothing else. Okay, so maybe they're confused about the term First Nation because they have tribes in the U.S. I'm trying to give this guy a benefit of the doubt. He, she, whoever. So First Nation, we don't have tribes in Canada. We have First Nations. And no, I'm not a member of France. I assume that's because I mentioned my French father. The guy's having fun. Then we jump to 3:57 p.m. So now the day's gone on. This is at Lee Ross 7896. Okay, this was the epitome of rude because racism can be very quick, very blunt. So WTH, we all know what that stands for. WTH is an Indigenous employee. So he, she, I don't know if Lee is who this is. Either they're having fun with the word Indigenous again and we're all Indigenous, that baloney, or they're implying that there'd be no such thing as an Indigenous employee because of all the stereotypes, which I would seriously take offense to. So that's Lee Ross. Then at 4:07, so 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes later, at Darren Mossman, so at least a name, this is the stupidest thing I believe I have seen in at least 3 weeks. How would you know? How would you know? Is this even your lane? How would you know? And I hope you're not in charge of working with Indigenous people because you're probably costing your company money. I said it. Next is at 7:30 p.m. So now it's still going. This is at Random Guy 2809. So random dude. Oh. So remember I said the video had 2 options? Or option 3, just don't hire your tribe or people who get offended by jokes. They're not funny. They're not jokes. It's not about being offended. It's about you being racist. And we're calling you out on that. So do we get offended by racism? Everyone should. Have a problem with it? Random guy? I was going to say something I shouldn't say in a video. So, yeah, kiss my Royal Canadian tush. Anyways, next is 8:57. We're not done yet. We are not done yet. 8:57 p.m. at Fitness Resolution 488. So, cool. Indigenous person here. Are you kidding me? Ridiculous nonsense. Okay? Indigenous people aren't of one mind. That would be a stereotype to think we all think the same. You think it's ridiculous. I don't know how assimilated you are. I don't know what company you work for. Maybe you own your own company like I do and you don't have to put up with any kind of baloney. Didn't give me enough information, but I'm totally cool with not agreeing with me. Doesn't make me ridiculous. Doesn't make you ridiculous. Don't be so rude. At Fitness Resolution 488. Notice I got my name on my stuff. Just saying. And the last one at 9:27 p.m. because this does end and it's at Alan Beckham. A name. I appreciate a name. You can solve your employment problems, hire the elderly. We show up, work, and are grateful for the opportunity. Very simple. I know a lot of people, older than me, that would gladly take a job. So I'm not arguing with this, but don't imply that we don't show up, work, and are grateful, because we are. It doesn't mean we have to endure. There's a difference. So kudos for calling out that we should be hiring the elderly. I'm not saying you're wrong. Don't take out the Indigenous while you're making your point, is my only comment. So how's that? How negative was that? How would you have handled it? Would you be laughing? Would you have handled it? Would you still be hanging in there? I don't know. So next, I want to share something else with you. I have mentioned it before. I don't mention it often, but again, on Substack, I am actually writing my next book. So I've written 4. You can find them all on Amazon.ca. So my first one, Honorary Indian. My second one, Her Mother's Daughter. Third one, The Path. Fourth one, I Am Awake. And now I am writing the next one, which is called There Is Nothing Wrong with You. Ed Milet, you know how much I love Ed Milet, always says you're most qualified to help the person you used to be. And this is for all of those people who have bought the stereotypes, who have believed someone when they said they were less than. That's who I'm writing to. But now what I'm going to share with you right now is not even released yet. It's actually going to be released next week. It's the post in Substack next week, so don't tell my Substack people. Because I'm just going to read the post to you. It's called Colonization is Insidious. Unpacking my own actions in hopes of helping you unpack your own. It happened, or it almost happened. I almost colonized myself again. It is that ingrained, that insidious, but I caught it this time. Did you? I am writing my new book here on Substack. I have mentioned there would be parts to it. A section for youth, a section for women, another for men, even one for those not yet born. Did you catch it that time? The boxes I was going to put my words in, the sections, the cages. A mom does not speak to the child she loves more than anything by topic. She speaks from heart to heart, trusting the brain will catch what it needs without direction. So too the elders speaking to the learners who will one day carry the teachings she so willingly shares, not by category, but with love. So will my book speak to all those people? Yes, I know it will. But I sure won't be the one gatekeeping the words, directing traffic to one section or another based on age, gender, or birth year. No. Instead, I invite you, the reader, to consume the words, all the words. Then you decide what resonates, what was meant for your heart alone. That is how you find your way, after all, fueled by the words of someone who sets you free rather than restricting your path. The journey and the learning continue. Decolonizing is an ongoing struggle for Indigenous peoples, and you're going to meet some Indigenous that are more assimilated than another. Don't judge, except we're on a journey. Some may not even be interested in decolonizing, and that's totally cool. And by the way, if you're interested in my book, I'm not going to be sharing all the posts here, and there's a whole bunch of them already on Substack. Check it out on Substack, and feel free to join. It's free. Unless you want to be a paid supporter, blah, 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 blah. Next, I did want to give a little bit of advice. I have been a public speaker for more than 15 years now, and if there's one thing I noticed almost right away, as soon as I started working with non-Indigenous people, I should say, because of the first 5 years I worked specifically and only with Indigenous communities, I learned pretty quickly. And hint, if you're a public speaker and you engage with Indigenous communities or non-Indigenous communities or mixed audiences, you're going to want to take note of this. There is a huge difference in how you present to an Indigenous audience or a community or a potential customer as opposed to a mainstream audience. So first off, I wanted to share a teaching from Chief Tony Alexis. He shared this with many people over the years, and he gave us permission to share it as long as we acknowledged him and his father, because this was one of the many teachings that they carried. And it's called the Bear's Den story. So I'm going to share it with you because it directly ties into what I want to teach you about how to present to those different audiences. So the Bear's Den story. This is a story teaching directly given to Chief Alexis by his father. How to enter a bear's den is the perfect metaphor for how we should enter any new sacred space. Here it is for you to consider. Imagine you're in the bush somewhere and you decide that you want to enter a bear's den that you have stumbled upon. Why anyone would want to do that is beyond me, but we continue. Common sense says that we should not rush into the den and scare the bear. The last thing we want is the bear seeing us as a threat, so instead we must approach in a slow and respectful manner. We do this by first looking for signs indicating that we are now entering the territory of the bear. Those signs may be tracks or claw marks on the trees. Once you realize you're entering the bear's territory, stop and wait. When the sounds of the bush return to normal, you are safe to proceed. Take a step inside the territory. Stop again. Listen. Once again, when the sounds of the bush return to normal, you know that your presence has been accepted and you are safe to proceed. One step at a time, slowly spiral towards the den, stopping after every step, giving all the forest creatures, including the bear, time to adjust to your presence. When sounds return to normal and the animals go back to their affairs, you can be sure they do not consider you a threat, but every step of the way must be accepted. Once inside the den, you can come and go as you please, but first you must get to the den without upsetting the bear. That is the challenge. That sums up the rush of mainstream when it comes against a First Nation community. There is no time taken to build a relationship. There is no slowly accepting this new person in the area. There's this rush, and what happens? The bear gets upset. We have to, if you're a new person in a First Nation community, you gotta give them time to accept you. So, how does that play into public speaking? Well, if there's one thing I learned pretty quickly, when I'm speaking to a non-Indigenous mainstream audience, 90% of the time, they could care two beans about my story. If I'm talking like a for-profit corporation, they want success stories. They want stats. They want to know who I've worked with and what were the results of people working with me. They want me to prove my value and that I am worth their time. That is so mainstream. And that is not going to fly in a First Nation audience. Why? They could care two beans about your success. An Indigenous audience wants to know who you are. Where are you from? What have you been through? What is your story? You can share accomplishments, but they want to hear your challenges too. They are the bear, and they're trying to pick up on your vibe. They're trying to figure out if they can trust you, if they're safe with you, which is why to this day, First Nations customers and audiences don't tend to like virtual communication because it's hard to pick up on someone's vibe. It's better than a text message or an email, but it's not the same as in person. They want to meet in person. My live events tend to be with Indigenous audiences. They need to hear my words. They need to know, yeah, she gets it. I almost literally see the walls come down when they recognize my teachings and know they can trust me. You don't have to be Indigenous to be trusted, but if you're not willing to share who you are, they can't trust you. So, how comfy are you with vulnerability? You may want to look at that before you start trying to approach Indigenous peoples or communities. Which kind of brings me to my last point. In last week's multi-topic video, I mentioned the ongoing clash between Métis and First Nation, fueled, as always, by government policy and the fact that status indigeneity can end, but Métis ancestry goes on forever. If you didn't see it, check out the video. So I was thinking about it because I'm going to think about this for a long time. I can tell you that right now, pretendianism is a thing. And I have long advocated, like, look at me. I present as fair. I expect people to say, so what community are you from? Seine River First Nation. My mom's a proud member of Seine River, but our bloodline's the Jordanes from Couchiching First Nation. Ah, right away, they know. So, as an Indigenous person, because these pretendians, and we want to prove we're not a pretendian, we get way more comfy with answering where we're from. It helps identify us to the people that need to know, usually to other Indigenous people. So I'm thinking, the next time I run into a Métis person, yes, I might be a little poop disturber here, but I'm going to ask them, so what settlement you from? Because remember, they have to have a bloodline tie to an original Métis settlement. And if they came back with Red River, oh, wow, that's really cool. Oh my God, did it take you long to research that? That would be an amazing conversation if they can't answer that. Yeah, then I'm going to be interested in their Métis status. Just saying. The learning and the thinking and the pondering continues, because that's how you build wisdom. Until next week, watch out. By the way, I did a short. Watch out for my member-only short and my member-only video coming out this week and every week from now on, because I love the people that support my work, and that's you. Thank you so much. Until next week, I love you. Bye-bye.